Happy holidays, everyone. This is our last episode of 2018. This is Relatable. I'm your host, Stephanie Michele. I'm so excited. We did 96 episodes. I can't even believe it. I have some lovely guests with me today. You're going to recognize them. I'm reflecting a lot. I'm like, what have I learned this year? And I definitely know after doing these 96 interviews and having 96 conversations that everybody has a backstory. And everything really has a backstory. It's all about context. You don't have to be a celebrity to be interesting. Everybody has an interesting story, and I hope that you've learned that with me by watching and learning about the guests that we've had on this year. There is something to learn from literally every person that you interact with. And speaking of interactions, I am thrilled to be wrapping up the year with 4 lovely ladies that you're going to get to meet and get to be reacquainted with because they've all been on the show before. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to my left, this is Amber. And Amber, to remind everybody, hello, I love the glue lips. Remind everybody what you do.
Hey, my name is Amber, and I'm a dancer and an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And next to Amber is August.
Hi.
August is naughty.
Hi, I'm August McLaughlin. I'm a health and sexuality writer and the host and creator of Girl Boner and Girl Boner Radio.
Yes. And next to August is the lady in pink, Heidi.
And I've got the giggles. Hi, I'm Heidi Mastrogiovanni. I am a novelist, a humorist, and an animal welfare advocate. And as soon as I hand off the mic to the lovely lady to my left, I will be literally having the first cup of coffee I have ever had in my entire life.
We did not put her up to that. She decided to do that on her own. I just want to let you know. Do you want to sip right now?
Yeah.
Let's just sip. Okay. Can you put the martini down?
Yeah. No, not the martini. I can't put the martini down. Okay, let's see what happens.
It's okay.
It's not bad.
All right, we're gonna get more. We're gonna get more on that commentary, coffee commentary with Heidi in a couple minutes here. And last but not least, Tish.
Oops, I don't have a spare hand. Hi, I'm Tish. Hi, I'm Tish, and I am an entrepreneur. I am a network marketer with Arbonne International, and I am a life and career coach.
Yes, she also happens to be my California mom. That's what I go out with, my California mom.
Yeah, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I'm proud of that too. Great moms. All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is our version of The View. So let's show them how it's done. Seriously. So the question that I've asked every one of you when you've sat next to me on the show is, what has your attention right now? And I think it's a great question to ask, especially as we reflect on 2018 and look towards 2019. What is our attention on? So I'm going to start with Amber.
I think just immediately my car meter. I'm like praying. I'm like, did I put the right amount of money? But I think I'm good.
You think you're good?
Yeah.
That's an urban dweller problem.
Yes.
Hashtag urban dweller. Yeah. We'll find out.
I've been thinking about how this feels like the start to the holidays for me, like this right here. I love the holidays, and I've had them in mind, but to actually be sitting with you all, even though I only know one of you, 2 of you.
2.
I just feel like it's a celebration. I'm grateful to be here.
We got through it, right? We got through 2018.
Absolutely.
And on the we got through 2018 note, I'm feeling justice coming back to us all, and I'm really excited about more justice, more decency, more honor, more kindness in 2019.
Yes. All good.
You stole my topic. The one thing that's been on my mind constantly for the last several weeks is kindness and giving, and seeing a turn in our society in that direction since the fires here in California.
Mm-hmm.
The kindness and the giving is what the holiday season should be about. And I think with commercialism, we tend to forget that sometimes, and we had a really rude awakening this year. So for me, it's all about giving and kindness and giving back.
Well, we'll keep the mic down there, Tish. So speaking of the holidays, so much has happened in California in 2018, for sure. we all have been touched or know somebody that went through a tragedy with the fires. And I do think that the spirit of giving and really connecting with people is here. How has your holidays changed because of that kindness and the feeling of being connected and wanting to help out your neighbor?
For me, it's a matter of not wanting anything for myself. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. And when I've been asked that question, what would you like for Christmas, or what's on your list? And basically what's on my list is for those of my friends and family who have lost things in the fire, that they're able to regain a sense of home. Yeah. And the displacement that's going on is everywhere. You see it in traffic, you see it, walking on the streets, people are displaced. And so for me, it's all about being nice, being kind, treating people the way you want to be treated, the old golden rule that we've all forgotten so much about. But that for me is really it. I can't think of one thing that I would say to somebody, yes, please get that for me. I don't. I just want to know what I can do to be of service.
Yeah. So. Heidi, what are you thinking about for the holidays?
I'm going to say that Tish stole my answer. Tit for tat. Tish, I know, seriously. I'm already
Wait.
And you knew. You knew.
There you go.
Thank you. I want to just pick up on what Tish said and say that, there is that lovely, among the many carols, there's no place like home for the holidays. And that makes me think of homeless people, homeless animals. I'm just going to quickly mention the children at the border. So that's something that we cannot allow ourselves to forget about. So I just want to again say there's nothing I need. There's nothing I even want. When people say to me, it's like, well, make a donation. Yeah. Make a donation to an animal shelter. Make a donation to a group that helps children. Make a donation to a group that helps the homeless. I think giving is the most important thing we can ever do.
And we can do that to honor each other. We can give.
Absolutely.
And send somebody, hey, I did this in your name, in your honor.
It's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing in the world. Absolutely.
August, what are your thoughts on the holidays?
I echo both of you, of course. I have definitely felt a sense of, in addition to giving and supporting different communities and individuals when we can, I have found myself having more concern about experiences, sharing space and time with people that I care about, far more than anything material. Yeah.
You're speaking to the relatable choir here. I mean, there's just nothing more important than this experience, our human interaction, I think. But
I would say I've just become more sensitive towards everyone around me. Just during the holidays, I think people tend to kind of get down, can focus on maybe more about what they don't have than what they do. And so even last night I was out taking a dance class, and people were just a little bit more vulnerable about how they were feeling and wanting to talk. So I feel myself being just a little bit more sensitive and more open to listening and just kind of validating people.
Was that refreshing? Did that almost feel like an invite when people were showing their vulnerability? You're like, ooh, I get to play in vulnerability now. Did it feel kind of, oh, we're going here? I felt like
it was an opportunity, and I also felt like just kind of treading on that line of I want to be helpful, but I can't save you, So, but it was nice to just at least be there for somebody that I don't need, a stranger, people I just met. But it just kind of goes to show that people are some people are in that space right now. Yeah. And just to be there for people.
Feeling the connection. Do you have a favorite holiday tradition?
I usually go to people's houses, and this year I've been doing things at my house and inviting people over. So I think it's going to be my tradition to always buy ornaments from somebody who's fundraising for something or raising money for things.
Nice.
That's where all my ornaments came from this year.
That's nice. So. I like it. How about you, August? Favorite holiday tradition?
I don't know if this is a tradition, but it is something I can't help, which I turn into a child around Christmas time. I wake up ungodly early. I wear really fluorescent Christmas pants at night. I love to be, and it's always for me been about sharing it with people.
Yeah.
So I get to spend time with my family, which is wonderful, in Minnesota. So hypothermia is also a tradition. But I really enjoy it, from, people thawing me out with hot cocoa, that kind of thing.
Beautiful.
This is a terrible thing to admit. So what I do is I share the holiday video that my husband entirely creates. My only contribution is putting, and I'm sorry, you guys, I'm really sorry, it's putting little ears and antlers and outfits on our dogs.
Oh, I've done it.
Oh,
sorry.
I know.
They're so cute, though.
Thank you. But the faces, right, Stephanie,
No, I've done
Really?
it. So I used to, instead of sending a holiday card, I would do a little holiday video with both my dogs, and one has since passed away, and that's kind of where we stopped. And I would
Lacey's in one.
Huh?
Lacey's in one.
Lacey's in one. Her dog is in one. Her dog played the Grinch in one of them. But I would find the most obscure Christmas song. And my favorite one was, so there's a comic duo, Garfunkel and Oates, the girls, you know who the two comedians, and they did this song called Present Face, and it's like, oh, thank you very much, you got me socks, like it's not, it's like present face, like you're trying to smile, but you didn't really want it. And my dogs were like perfect, like, why do I have this hat on? Like, why are you doing this to me? It was awesome. And they saw it. They were like, that's cool. Like,
love it. I love it.
I stopped doing it.
I may have to borrow that. That's a great tool.
I'll share
the music
them all. I'll share them
you
for
must,
everybody.
You
They're
must.
still in the YouTube universe somewhere.
You must.
Yeah, they're cute. I miss my Tessa. Yeah.
Holiday traditions. Gosh, the one thing I really, really love about the holidays, this is a great excuse to bring out the bling.
Yeah.
I love anything that's flashy and bright and lights, and it just seems like it doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime, if it's the holiday season. Starting like December 1st, it's like, bring it on,
We all have glitter on our face somewhere, by the way, from holding
it comes off from here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So speaking of bling, we have face bling on. Gorgeous. Okay, so holidays, we talked about traditions, so let's try to see if we can disagree. I don't think it's going to be possible, but let's try. Let's just try for fun.
Let's have a fight.
Let's disagree on that. Yeah, you disagree on that? Drink more coffee. All right, so holidays for many, it's a religious time. And some will argue that we've gotten less religious over the holidays, and then you have people that go to church all the time and go, oh, those people that just show up for Christmas, like, oh, those people, kind of derogatory that they're only showing up for Christmas. What are your thoughts on just holiday, this time of year, and religion? And whoever, we can go out of order, because this is a big question.
I'll go.
You ready?
I will go on that one.
Okay.
Because I'm the nice.
Okay, glitter face.
I'm the glitter face, nice little Jewish girl.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, the holidays are non-religious. For me, the holiday, I'm a spiritual person. And it's all about the spirit of the holiday season, the spirit of giving. I'm not of the religious belief structure for Jesus and so forth, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy it and relate to it with my friends and family. But for me, it's a spiritual time of year, not religious. So.
I'm echoing what you're saying. So
Again?
I can't find any way to disagree with that. I can't. I'm trying and I can't. I just totally for me in the world. If anyone's religion motivates them to be kind and generous and caring, mazel tov, you should only be happy. I'm thrilled. Ditto. It's a spirit. It's a time of. I was raised Catholic. I would describe myself as an agnostic. I really hope there's a force that drives the universe for good. I really, really, really hope so. If your religion makes you a good person, yay. If you use your religion as an excuse to decide that your way is the only way and that what other people are doing is wrong,
Yeah, I feel that. Totally. Well said.
I really think it's important to respect that people have different beliefs about holidays. And I think what we have seen and what some people have perceived as this war on Christmas is actually just people having the freedom to celebrate or not celebrate, however they so choose. And then some fake headlines, you know.
Yeah.
For me, like most of my family is very religious in different ways. Some are Catholic, some are Christian, and they all respect other people's, you know, religion and beliefs. I think it's really important, though, if you're really into, say, Christmas, that you recognize that other people may not be.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay.
I agree. We talked about this with the last group of guests that were on, that what did you just say? I lost my train of thought. That
What's in that coffee cup, Steph?
I know. I know. There is tequila in this room. That I totally forgot what I was going to say. What did you just say?
We were talking about inclusivity of religions.
Yeah, I'll come back to it.
I think
this is why I shouldn't drink 2 cups. This is what happens. Sorry, you're
okay. I think just respect is key, you know. Just being respectful of everyone. Christmas, for me, I'm a Christian, but I'm also very spiritual too. And I think that's just kind of something that we have to say as, like, you know, people who identify with faith that has hurt a lot of people. You have to be like, oh, but I'm spiritual, you know. But so it is a time for me to kind of connect with my faith and evolve and reflect.
Yeah.
But just be respectful.
Totally.
You know?
I know what I was going to say. It came to me. I was totally listening. I could repeat back everything you said, but it just came to me. So some will argue that we're living in this time where no rules apply, like it's like just anything goes. And I would argue back that we are finding our way, like we're actually finding what works for us. We have all of this knowledge at our fingertips and, you know, on our computer, and so it may look like there's no structure and that religion is being abandoned, or, you know, we're talking more spiritual. I relate like you do, you know, I could relate to that. But I think really what's happening is an opportunity to go, well, what does work? And I personally would like to see the holidays be more of an interfaith thing, where it's like, look, everybody has the right to their own opinions and their own practices and their own policies and the way that they do things, but during this time, let's have openness to really explore new traditions and talk to people and really connect. And the connection is the holiday, really. I mean, it's all about that. That should be the religion.
But if we do that,
yeah,
if we actually were to do that, we could start a trend. And oh my God, that would lead into what we all want for 2019, which is peace and harmony and more kindness and so forth. So what you're saying is really important, because the buck starts right here with each of us.
I agree.
And so it's you know, Stephanie, it's like going back to your first show or your second show, which I was a part of, and we had maybe 4 or 5 viewers, okay, and look where you are now.
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's that effect of the ball getting bigger as the ball rolls down the hill, it gets bigger, the snowball gets bigger and bigger, and that's what we have to start. That's the commitment and the task that we have to take on.
I love that came up. Like, one thing that I learned in this year, and we'll kind of go into this, we'll talk about what 2018 has been for each of us, but the one thing that I really had to learn in bringing the show to this space and figuring out all this technology, which we still don't have it all figured out, we're still learning, is to celebrate momentum, to really celebrate all those little steps. Now, I know that people could see like the mistakes in one show and be like, wow, what are they doing? Like, you know, and I'm like, well, that's something that we could learn from, and we just keep going and we keep going. So the thing that I would encourage everybody to think about is just never, ever doubt how small an action is and where it can go. Like, it's that ripple in the pond effect.
Right.
Like, you just have to start somewhere and let it build, let it build. Nobody gets everything they want in the first action or the first try. Like, I love it when people refer to our time on Earth as Earth School, because really every opportunity, every encounter, everything that we see is just learning to advance our soul and how we interact with each other. Yeah. So momentum, like 2018 was like the year for me for celebrating momentum and being okay. Like, being okay with being vulnerable, being okay with being embarrassed, being okay with all the ums and the things that I like critique myself for. It's like, okay, well, I see it now. What am I going to do about it? You know, what can I do to improve on that? So Momentum. Hashtag momentum. So same question, like when you reflect on 2018, what has this been the year of for you? Maybe
I'm going to jump in because it's
Is your coffee hitting?
Can I share that you shared before we started that I had been saying something? I was saying it really fast. And Stephanie said, "Are you sure you haven't had anything?" I think my only explanation is I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for reminding me. I'm a New Yorker. We do that. My husband got me a mug that says, "I'm from New York. Please talk faster." So yeah. I want to pick up on a word that you said that ties to what you said, connection.
Yeah.
2018 for me was connecting with people, marching, connecting online, connecting in person on the streets of downtown Los Angeles, marching and refusing to be silent when there is cruelty.
Yeah.
And refusing to back down. And it is the I will not live on my knees, I will die on my feet, and we're not all going to die. It's going to be a great year in 2019, but it is the connection of standing up together for decency and kindness and generosity and caring.
And together, like it's not so scary when you find other people to do that with.
750,000 people downtown Los Angeles.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you. So I wanted you to answer that question, but these are my book authors in the middle here. You know, we're on the bookends and the book authors, and both of you, I know, did you had a book tour. So you were meeting people that you have never met before, and all kinds of different people in different cities. What surprised you the most about people that were into your books? Or what did you learn from meeting some of those people?
Goodness.
That's a great question.
That is a great question. One thing that struck me as interesting, it wasn't super surprising, but it wasn't something I had anticipated either, was that pretty much at every event I've done, because my book is called Girl Boner, and I've had, I think at every event, one of the first questions is people want to know how my loved ones feel about it.
Yeah, that's right. Really?
Yeah. Which I understand where the curiosity comes from, but my favorite response was from my brother when we were in New York City. And we were in a bar, KGB bar, wonderful venue.
I mean, booze and books.
Yeah, exactly. So people were a little more comfortable letting it all out, right?
Yeah.
So I let it out a little more in my readings. I read some things that were a little more adult, perhaps, than I had at other events. And when you are vulnerable, as you've both expressed, other people are more vulnerable too. So somebody raised their hand and shared a really vulnerable question. And then the next thing was, well, your brother's here. What does he think of your work? And my brother's sitting there, and I thought, oh my goodness, I hope he's cool answering. And it was like this beautifully Midwestern, Scandinavian, supportive brother answer. He just said, "It's a good book." I love it. Which is perfect. Yeah. What did you learn? What were you surprised by?
I love that you mentioned Midwestern, because I grew up in yay the Midwest.
In the house.
I grew up in Connecticut, but as soon as I got out of college, and I went to college in Connecticut, suburban Connecticut, as soon as I got out, I moved to New York City, because I'm a city gal, and it was New York, and then it's LA, and that's the only places I've lived as an adult. And my novels, which are a character so clearly a younger version of me that it's just like, seriously, come on, like who knows me doesn't know that. And she either lives in New York or Los Angeles. And it's been really nice talking to someone who did not grow up in New York or Los Angeles, or does not even live in New York or Los Angeles. And I was really happy to find that Lala, who to me, my title character, who is my quintessential urban gal, speaks to people living everywhere.
Yeah.
I have some friends who live in Europe, and I'm glad that she speaks to them. And so that's universal language, maybe the universal language of laughing, because my novels are humorous. So laughing is a huge part of 2018, and I think we're going to be laughing and smiling more.
She's vulnerable too. Your character.
Oh gosh, is she ever?
She's having these experiences and laughing with herself. Yeah. So.
And I just as a quick Stephanie, because as you know, she's a widow. She's a young widow, and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what we have talked about, and what I love about Girl Boner, is taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself through difficult times, through joy, being with yourself through joyous times, and healing through difficult times by taking care of yourself and finding joy again.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge theme.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go to Amber because we haven't heard from her, and then we'll come back because I want to hear what 2018 has been for you. Okay.
I would say it's been pretty transformative.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I learned how to kind of live my life in love. It was a year that taught me how to not look to experiences or destinations, but to kind of just be in each moment and kind of accept it. And you can like kind of live your life in that way on different levels, you know, like you think, oh, when you get to college and get a degree, it's going to do this, and then that shatters, and you're like, oh, that's not what that does. And then you get your job, and you're like, oh, that's not what that does. And it kind of continues for a long time. Yeah. And I think this year was a year for me of just kind of embracing life as it is, and knowing that not every day is going to be perfect, and not expecting myself to be perfect in certain moments, and to kind of just be really like live in acceptance.
I have to say, I'm so proud of you. Like, she was one of the first guests on this show for this season, and I encourage everybody, I'm going to share all the links to everybody's shows, but you particularly have grown so much this year. Like, talk about momentum. You are like the queen of momentum. Like there's just so many things.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say to a friend, but I'm really proud of you. Like, you've done it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've stepped out and done some things, and it's like, whoa, look at her. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a good year for you.
It was hard, but it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
I love it.
That's a beautiful answer. I would say this year has been a year of solidifying for me. I had some of my biggest dreams come true. You know, this book is so much my heart, and at the same time dealing with incredible political upset and people suffering, and having to literally think about things like, well, when the book comes out, if there's a shooting that day.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, literally, I had that conversation with some of my colleagues, because how do you celebrate? Yeah. And I realized that it's almost more important to celebrate tactfully, you know, not in the precise moment of something like that, but that the small moments matter so much, and that we need this connection. It's been such a roller coaster in that way.
I can totally relate to what you're saying, because consistently all I do is talk about the show and the conversations that are on the show, and I believe every show is a celebration of that conversation or what we're going to talk about. And so many times during this year, there's been other things to focus on, and I'm like, does the world need another meme from me about shooting? Like, I just have felt like I don't need to say this, and I do want to lean into the celebration, because the way back through all of the problems, I believe, is through each other. You know, that if we can vibe and connect with people unlike us, and sit down and be understanding, and, you know, come together and try to find solutions to the most complex thing, that's where all of these things, you know, that's where it matters. So I've felt that so many times this year. I'm like, I'm just going to stay consistent and just talk about the show, because at the end of the day, and maybe this is a question for all of us because we're all on social media, it's like, when you see what's trending, the topic that's trending, you're like, oh, what's my unique take? Let me do my meme on it. It's like, that the decision to do that always feels gross to me, like gross. And I often end up just not doing it.
I love you even more for expressing that, because I have such a hard time with that exact thing, where I think that's another thing that I have stepped into more, is that it is not at all about me. Like, it's just, we are all really valuable, unique individuals, and our voices all matter and all of that, but we don't have to be doing something that is Instagram friendly for it to be impactful.
Yeah. And who knows, and how do we not know that you and I had the 3-hour conversation during a crisis, and like, that was our Instagram. Like, how do people know, like, you know, this, it's not about what, I guess it's not about so much like worrying about what others think. It's more like, what do I need to do right now? This is a time where a lot of healing needs to transpire, and I will often pick offline stuff if I need to work something out. You know, I'm not going to do it through a meme and then let people post on it and go, you know, what did you think? It doesn't, when you know some of that is the problem. I mean, some of that, like that instant knee-jerk, oh, I've got to put my opinion out because something just happened and it's very quick. I'm like, do you really know the consequences of your words and your actions right now? Like, is this really helpful? I don't know.
One thing I ask myself in pretty much every scenario when it's like, do I post this? Do I talk about this? Do I take whatever? I just ask myself, am I being true to myself? Like, is this actually something that, because it can feel very authentic at times, right?
Yeah.
To express a certain thing. I'll make certain memes about certain things, especially if it's relevant to my platform. So, for example, yesterday was a day to honor the lives of sex workers who've been killed. And that is a really heavy, heartbreaking topic, and you want to shed light on it. And I have found that you can do so by raising other people's voices, sometimes more effectively. But then when we do have platforms, it's a wonderful thing to be able to make a difference. So whenever it got all like, do I do this? Do I do that? I just think, wait a minute, forget everything except for, does this feel like the authentic thing for myself?
Yeah, that's a good test.
Authentic is
Yeah.
a good word.
I think you're up.
Yeah.
I'm up. 2018 was an incredible year for me. 2018 was the year I regained my health. And you see these things? They're called hands. They're supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to hold a pencil and write. You're supposed to be able to zip up your pants for yourself. You know, these are things. I couldn't do that. And I was so riddled with arthritis in my hands. They were so swollen and so painful all the time. And I was very fortunate to find a wonderful alternative medicine doctor who explained the benefits of healthy eating and toxic products and so forth to me. And so as a result, I had a huge weight loss, 27 pounds. My hands work again. My digestive system works again. I feel amazing. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to be 70 years old this summer. Okay? I'm pretty darn active for my age. And I have a very, very important message to get out to my fellow baby boomers, which is health is so important. I'm so grateful for mine. I do my gratitudes when I wake up every morning. That's the first thing I do is I'm grateful that I opened my eyes. That's the first one. And it goes from there. But basically, 2018 has been a year of health for me. It's been a year of changes to create this new body and health that I'm living in, and mindset that I am developing and continuing on. And my message is to my fellow baby boomers, there is another way. You do not have to be a couch potato. You do not have to give up activities and going places and doing things, and you do not have to give in to how old you are.
Yeah.
Because age is a state of mind.
Heidi, are you feeling the second chances? Heidi's whole character in her book is about second chances. It's never too late. Hello.
No, I mean, again.
I know. They're going home.
This is my new best friend here.
I know. I said it to you both. I know.
No, and yeah. It's never, I'm going to just echo what you said. I had my milestone birthday last year. I turned 60 last year. And I'm just going to remember my mother. You made me think of my mother who, God rest her soul, she was 88 when she passed, good long life. And when she was 85, I called her. She was in Connecticut, and it was cold. We weren't going to go there then, but we were going to celebrate later. And she had a heavy German accent. August knows her very well. And I said, Mom, 85. And she summed it up for me. She just said, oh, but I don't feel 85. So whatever 61 is supposed to feel like, whatever, it feels great if you're moving.
Right.
Move.
Yeah.
Get up. Do what feels good,
And the food thing is really important. Like, don't buy stuff on the outside of the grocery store. Don't buy all the processed things on the end caps, and it's never too late. Like, really.
And listen to your body. I feel like that's a missing piece, is because there's all these weird diet rules everywhere. And sometimes something that seems like it's a healthy plan is actually, sometimes it's a weird fad diet.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to actually listen to our bodies and go, I do this and this feels better. What does my body actually want?
Yeah. You would know. Yep. I do. That's all she writes.
No, but that's really important to listen to your body. It really, listening to your body. I mean, people say to me, well, don't you miss having a piece of bread? Of course I'm a bread and butter girl. Of course I miss having a piece of bread. But if I eat a piece of bread today, my hands are going to be swollen tomorrow. Yeah. And it's going to hurt. And so my new mantra is basically, 5 minutes of oral gratification is not worth 24 hours of pain.
Well, not that oral gratification.
And you can use that if you'd like.
We're going there. We're going there. That's funny. All I could think of was Wanda Sykes' stand-up from a couple of years ago where she's talking about the Spanx and how her stomach loves cheesecake. All I can think of is when you're talking about that. It's so funny if you haven't seen this. I love her. I can't even think what it's called. You Got to Be Me. It's like one of her first. It's so funny. I've literally watched that thing 12 times. It's so funny. She's talking about listening to her body in a funny way. It's important. All right. So should we move on to 2019? Should we talk about it? Anything else? Like if you had to send something away in terms of like what we just want to like get behind us in 2018. We're all thinking it. What we're going to say.
Gee, if we could send something away.
Yeah, if we could just put a little boat or something, put something in a boat and just send it to another place.
Yes, exile it.
What would that be?
Another planet.
Another planet. What would that be?
I'm gonna jump in again. I would take everyone's cruelty and selfishness and greed, and it's. I'm reminded of the moment in It's a Wonderful Life where our hero George is arguing with Mr. Potter. Gee, who does Mr. Potter remind us of? And I don't remember the setup, but Mr. Potter wants to do something bad.
Yeah.
And George says, but the children will be impacted in this negative way. And Mr. Potter says, well, they're not my children. And George says, well, they're somebody's children.
Nice.
And if it takes, what does it take to have empathy? Does it have to be your children? You were a child once. Imagine someone doing that to you. So I would take anyone who doesn't listen to the golden rule, and I would put them you go be on your own island.
I think
deal with yourselves.
Any people that are making environmental decisions, it seems that they need to watch It's a Wonderful Life, because everything you just said is like, we're not worried right now, but somebody's children are going to have to deal with this. Yeah. So
I was thinking about like how we all kind of have blind spots towards each other, but I think those kind of work to our benefit as well, like just opting into really seeing things from other people's points of view. So, I mean, if I could, I would like ship those off, because it's frustrating for me as a Black human being for it to speak to people and I'm like, you can't see it because you're not over here, and I wish that you were like humble enough to like let me teach you. But
can you think of something that happened this year that it's an example of that you could share, so someone's like, oh shit, I have blind spots, like just to, because we don't have to call anybody out, but we could educate right now if we wanted to, not to put you on the spot.
I mean, I think just generally speaking, like I work in Los Angeles Unified School District, and so I work with a lot of different kind of colored kids, and so I think that I experience those blind spots on the regular, and I think that it's just a matter of like asking questions. You know what I'm saying? Not being like, you shouldn't think like that, but being like, why do you think that way? I think asking why would be a really great way.
Huge advocate of that. I think that's the greatest thing that we can do for each other is ask why questions. Like, tell me more about that.
And
why do you?
Defensively,
But
just actually, I really want to know.
Yeah. Slow down judgment, speed up curiosity. Ask why questions.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Can you say that again?
Slow down judgment, speed up curiosity.
Beautiful.
I think so. Have you guys heard of the movie If Beale Street Could Talk?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, go watch it. That's another way.
Is it in the theater right now?
It's in the theaters right now. Yes, it's really, really good. It's.
Who is the I think I saw that interview with. Who is the actress?
They're new. She's in it.
Yeah. I think I've seen her talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on an old James Baldwin book, and it's so beautiful. And I think that it definitely will help with compassion for sure.
Removal of blind spots.
Yes.
Or at least awareness of blind spots.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in our boat right now is blind spots, greed. What else?
Anyone who doesn't follow the golden rule.
Anyone that doesn't follow the golden rule. What else would you like to put in the boat that we're sending away for 2018?
Yeah, I'm going to add needless apologies. I have found, certainly I have done this a lot myself, and I also hear from so many people. It's one of the most common themes from my readers and listeners when they come to me with questions or concerns or issues they want to talk about. There's almost always this apology, this concern that they're being too much, they're not enough this, what's wrong with me, and at the heart of it is this, I'm sorry for who I am.
Yeah.
And I would love for us to get past that.
There's language is very powerful. So the sorries, or I notice myself going sort of when I'm very certain, and then like I'm downplaying my own power. So I'll say something like, oh, probably, sort of, but it's like, no, certain, I know it, I'm certain. So yeah, you watching your language.
Yeah, in emails, I do this all the time. I can't, if I had a nickel for every time I deleted the word sorry. It took me a while to get to a place where, and I still do it occasionally, but I was doing it so often.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to bug you, but I'm so sorry that I'm concerned about this is what like I'm so sorry for having thoughts. Like, no, that's not cool.
So sorry for being considerate. That's kind of what you're apologizing for too.
Right.
Sorry
There
for
are ways to be very
person.
kind without being apologizing for when you haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah. Did Tish put something in the boat yet?
I would put fear in the boat.
Fear in the boat. Nice. Fear's in the boat.
Nice. People are too afraid of too many things that they don't need to be afraid of. Too many people walk around with fear in their gut of what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's going to happen in an hour, or instead of just being in the moment and enjoying the time of now.
Yeah.
So if I had to wrap something up in a bow and toss it in a boat to go bye-bye, it would be fear. Because fear just, what's the word? It freezes people. Yeah. It demoralizes people. Ourselves. You start to feel fear about anything, and you find your whole body and system is affected, and the way that you speak to other people is affected. The way that you think about things, everyday things, is affected by fear. And so if there was something for me that I could throw in that boat with a big red ribbon on it, it would be fear.
Yeah. And what's the saying? So fear produces you either fight, flee, or freeze. Right. Those are the actions that fear produces. So none of those are great, and when we see that, these are a good time to ask questions too, like, what's going on? Why are we fighting right now? Right. Like, or when someone walks away from something, it's like there's more to that. There's a story, and these are when we can ask questions too to help.
Well, just a small example. Last week I was over at Santa Monica High School interviewing freshmen. They do freshman interviews every year, and it was such an amazing afternoon. Some of the questions that the kids asked, as we get through, we had prepared questions that we had to ask, but when we got to the bottom of it, it was, okay, Sam, do you have any questions for me? And after the initial, well, what do you do? Sometimes I got some really insightful questions from these kids. Well, what made you decide to do what you do? What a difference in the way a question is asked. Yeah. What was your path before you decided to do what you're doing now? Have you always done that? Did you do something different? And so what I was finding, and excitedly so, was questions coming from young people. Not afraid to ask of an older person. And we're talking 14-year-old kids here.
Yeah.
And so to me, to open up communication with the youngsters and be a part of what's coming up, because we look at today's politics, we have our arguments about today, what's going on in today's world, but really it's their world. Mm-hmm. It's making the young people understand that it's their world. Mm-hmm. It's, and I talked to my granddaughter who's 18 and just voted in her first election, so excited about it. And I said to her, Anya, this is your world. These are your leaders. These are going to make the differences in what happens when you are a full-fledged adult.
Absolutely.
And her mouth dropped open. It was like, oh my God, but that's where it's at. And that's, I think, as adults, that's one of the greatest things we can do, as long as we're in agreement that we all want to give, is to give to the younger generation and to give of our experience and
be a mentor.
Absolutely. And that was the show I was on.
Yeah.
Was mentoring, but it's so important in today's world with everything that's going on. Find a kid, mentor a kid, or 3 or 4. and be a force in their lives to bring them the best of what we had in ours.
Definitely. Beautiful. So I want to hear everybody's predictions for 2019, but I think this is a good time to say, okay, now you all are learning about each other, right? You know what's in this room in terms of heart and knowledge and just what we're leaned into. Is there any topic that anybody wants to put out that would like the collective energy and knowledge of this room to comment on? Does anything come up? It's like we're with some very dynamic women that have amazing hearts and minds. Like, what world problem can we solve today? Yeah. Anything? It doesn't have to be. It could be a personal thing.
Well, I gave him mine.
Yeah.
So. Okay, girls.
Pass the microphone.
Can I piggyback on Tish's?
Yeah, again?
You've been doing it.
Darling, you are so stuck with me, so get really used to
an
it.
autographed copy of the book.
With pleasure. Hello. I'd be delighted and honored. Because I have a niece who just voted for the first time, who turned 18 and voted, and I was so proud of her. How do we inspire, even with the high percentage in this midterm, the highest in forever, there are still people who don't vote. So not just the young people. Mm-hmm. I'm shocked by the percentage of people who don't vote. So I'm just wondering, and as we move forward, and there may not be a quick solution, or there's not a quick solution or a quick answer today, but as we move forward, can we all just please be aware of how we inspire people in general to do good and kind things, and how do we inspire people to get involved in the political process? I've had nephews and nieces who have said, well, what's the point? And I usually sputter because I'm like, what? Yeah, which is really which is helpful.
The point is the results of the last election. That's the point.
Well said. Yeah.
I mean, look at all these women that are.
Yeah, indeed.
So.
Yeah. But that's
and I almost hate to say that the Me Too movement and all the, the crap, and that's cleaning it up, that brought about the Me Too movement. Yeah. I always say that the worst and hardest lessons that you go through and learn through your life bring out the best results. Mm-hmm. So this is a really terrible journey that we're on right now. But the results that are coming out of it and that will be in 2019 and beyond, I think are a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And that's the way we have to look at it.
Yeah. And I want to respond to what Heidi brought up. I think that, well, I think this, and I don't know if everybody thinks this, but I've often said on the show, we just need to slow down. Like, we need to slow down. Everybody has something that they're concerned about, that's important to them. And we're so fast, like we're going through the day and we're doing more scroll. I would reach for my phone, it's not even here. Why would it be there? I've never had my phone on the show, but that's just like a natural reaction. Yeah. But everything's so fast and we don't get the time to go, wait a second, like what's going on here? Like what's really important about this issue? And so it's a gift to be able to say to somebody, hey, what's important to you? Yes. And then try to help connect them to the reasons why they need to vote or the reasons why they need to participate in a certain march. But the first part of that equation is slowing down. Like, I really, really believe that we're at a point where we should schedule and make a practice of, you know what, these are the people that I check in with every third day, and we just talk about the news, because I just need to process this stuff. I need to get it out of my system. I can't let it just store up, because another thing's going to happen, and that other thing's going to be unprocessed, and then I got this other thing in here. So working out a schedule with a couple of friends, like this is our Tuesday talk, let's talk about what's going on, and offering that and encouraging young people, because I really worry about young people. Yeah. I really worry about the lack of eye contact, the connection to that phone and buried into the phone and not being able to express themselves. I really, really, really worry about that.
We have to take responsibility for that.
Oh yeah. Well, we don't, but some of our tech giants do.
We
in this room.
I think that parents have to take a big chunk of that on themselves and responsibilities. I can think of 5 different experiences that I've been at, parties, etc., where parents have brought their young kids and thrown an iPad or an iPhone at them to keep them occupied while they're at the party. So I think we have to take on our part of the responsibility for building that culture.
And that's the greatest lesson that they can have, is like to take a young person to a party and say, okay, now your fun thing for the evening is you're going to ask 3 people that you don't know this question. Yep. Or you're going to come up with your own questions. Like, you're going to look around and be curious about things, and then you'll practice on me, and then you'll go ask that person. Like, that's a real opportunity to let them experience curiosity and people, you know. So, yeah. Let's fix that. Let's fix that.
Creating healthy alternatives.
Yeah.
It's, I think, the most important thing, like creating healthy alternatives to just scrolling on your phone. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what else can you do? Like, do you have an instrument that you could practice, a book that you could read, a coloring book that you can color,
Class that you can take.
that you can take, a friend that you can call, you know, a park that you can go walk at. I think it comes down to that kind of practicality, you know.
Yeah.
Because it can be, I mean, yeah, it just desensitizes us towards each other, and like people just like giving, I mean, we have to have like our own choice, you know, but sometimes I feel like we don't deserve it, you know, in certain instances, like, oh, whether we should be able to, you know, carry guns or not, or what. It's like we like, you give us a choice, but it's like somebody needs to intervene, because when we have choice, I mean, just in anything, you know, you're going to choose an instant gratifier over the one that's like not going to feel good for a moment, but like you're rising above, you know? Yeah,
so it's coming up for me when you're saying that. It's like we need to check in on our choices. Like, just because you chose this, it's like you can always re-examine that. And I personally, again, think it's a time to be really strategic about relationships. So I'm just weird like this, that I think people on every problem that I'm having, every challenge, and I think it in this way, and I've actually charted this. It's like, okay, I have mentors in my life, I have challengers, and challengers are important, and we'll talk about that, and then I have supporters. I have people that play that role in different scenarios in my life, and so some of them might be business or personal relationships or whatever. So I'll think, when I hit something, a challenge, okay, do I need to be challenged, or when I hit an issue, do I need to talk to one of my challengers in this space, or one of my supporters, or do I need a mentor right now because I can't see my way through it? Like, I think we have to be that strategic about relationships to start to turn the social norms of unkindness, all the things that we put in the boat. I think that we have to get that strategic about it and check in on the choices that we're making.
And that's coming back to awareness, which we've all been talking about.
Oh, yeah. My favorite thing to talk about is I have I have a lot of tolerance for a lot of things. I wouldn't say I'm the most patient person, but I have zero tolerance for people that don't know their own role in things. And it's kind of going back to the blind spots, I think, too, when it's like, wait a second, like the person, you've probably heard, the person that's talking about dating, and it's the same situation over and over again. It's like, oh, sweetie, you are the common denominator in this. Like, do you want to look at what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like that. Like it's nobody's perfect. If there's one thing that we know through social media, nobody's perfect. You know, we're all learning. You know, we're all at a different stage of learning, and we get through that faster, and it's easier when we check ourselves. You know, so yeah.
And I think so much of all of this that we're talking about would be bettered by having education on these topics. Yes. And of course, I'm biased, but I think sex ed from an early age, where we learn about boundaries and autonomy and relationships and intimacy and connection.
How to communicate what you want.
Yeah, and the effects of technology. Yeah. You know, and I don't know what kids are being taught about this, but from what I've heard, they learn how to use certain kinds of technology, but are we also learning? And not just in a way of like, no, you can't do that, but look at what can happen if you set some boundaries. You have all this energy for this creativity, or learning about some of the health repercussions and ways to, it's a form of self-care and health and wellness, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Heidi, you got something to add to that?
Yeah, no,
How's your coffee?
It's, you know, I'm getting used to it, which I think is something I never saw coming.
I don't feel a little extra.
Yeah, you know me, honey. My husband, God love him, he may not even be awake yet, because he's a musician. He does the musician
thing. He doesn't even know you drink coffee.
He doesn't even know I drink coffee. I can't wait to go home. I got a surprise for you. But I wake up, I'm awake. Yeah. Like he takes a while to wake up. I'm like, I'm up, I'm ready. Now, I wanted to just with Girl Boner, having had the great joy of reading it, and it's a fabulous Girl Boner journal coming out that I have read in manuscript form that I can't wait to own and revisit. The words that are really speaking to me: voice and awareness and self-care. And I just, as a brief moment, I mean, especially as women, when our voices, when society seeks to suppress our voices, there's no quicker way to get me angry than to either realize that someone hasn't heard me, or to be told, and I think we can all agree it's become a cliche. If someone tells me, oh, calm down, or oh, relax, like, well, there's a good way to have exactly the opposite result.
Yeah.
So I'm just picking up on voice. Voice.
I'd add to that time. I think we need to have a better relationship with time, because everything's so fast, and as American workers, it's part of our work culture. Oh, how much can we cross off a list, and we got to make this quick decision. No, you don't. Yeah. And even in an argument, like, hey, you know what? This is not the best time for this. I'm not physically and mentally present. Yeah. Can we schedule a time to talk about this? Like, everything does not have to be now, even though we have a lot of things that we can get now. Thank you, Jeff Bezos and Amazon Prime, for ruining us. Literally ruining us. I had a talk with a friend of mine that's in real estate, and he and his people in his industry are talking about how the client relationship has changed so much, because everybody's expecting this kind of quickness, and they're not appreciating the knowledge of the broker, and and they cancel deal, they take all the time to move forward on something and then cancel it, and not understanding that the person, that's their livelihood. So there's just this idea of everything now is not that helpful. It's really not that helpful. So our relationship with time needs to change.
Yep. Absolutely.
I've had 2 cups of coffee, and I usually do not drink. I don't know if this was a solidarity thing. I had to get buzzed with you.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
And there's tequila here, so
there is tequila.
Who knows what happens
There's
after?
always tequila in the studio. I'm just saying. All right. So let's get on to predictions for 2019. I mean, we could start if we want to ease into it. I know everybody's looking at you. We could ease into this maybe by starting with, like, what do you hope for in 2019? And then we'll talk about predictions. We'll go back.
I hope for some good music. You know what I'm saying? Every time I turn on the radio, I'm just like, make it stop. I don't mean to. I miss, like, being excited about music. And there are, like, some artists that have come out and that have put out some pretty good albums. So I'm hoping that they just dominate and get creative and, like, get competitive with each other and put out really good stuff. Because
what bothers you the most about some of the music now? Is overproduced, like, too, like, cookie cutter, or lyrics, or just not original? Like, what is the thing that you want to see with the music?
It's not original. I think everyone's so obsessed with being different that they're all the same.
I see that. I see that a lot.
It's like, and it's like there's just so much of the same thing, and I'm just like, what? Like, I want something that is exciting, like back in the day, all of my relatives, they would talk about Michael or seeing Michael, and they're just like, he was so exciting, and like, I don't feel that.
You can't predict a Michael Jackson song. Like, they're all so unique, and they take you somewhere, and like, then you start thinking about the videos. It's like they were all so cinematic. Like,
well, he was so far ahead of his time.
Yeah.
So just some good music. I hope there's good music.
Nice. I like it.
Beautiful.
I second that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's some good jams.
Yeah, I hope for major strides toward planet care.
Beautiful.
I'm also coming up on a landmark birthday next week, or in the next few days. I'm not sure what day it is. I'm going to be 40.
You are?
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yay, thanks. I'm really excited, actually. It feels like I'm not a big number person, but it's funny because I stopped saying my age because I saw this talk from this really empowering health person that I respect. And she said she stopped saying her age not because of shame, but because of the way other people put people in a box. So I thought, I'll try not saying it. And then it became like my #1 Google search. Like everyone's like, what's her age? I was like,
Hilarious.
do people really care that much? So hello, everyone. I'm 40 almost in a few days. But as I was approaching my birthday, I just kept thinking, like, what would I really, like, if I could have anything in the world, what would it be? And I'm just like, hug the planet. Please take care of this planet. I care more and more about it, maybe because I'm here longer and longer. And I am so grateful to have existence and to be here. And it's such a beautiful place. And I just hope I hope we can catch up with some other countries.
Yeah. When is
soon.
your actual birthday?
The 23rd.
Holy!
That's your birthday?
Yes, it's her husband's. It's her anniversary. It's her wedding anniversary, and that's my birthday.
Oh my
How
God.
funny.
So we didn't even know it.
I didn't know that.
How funny. Oh my
Big
gosh.
celebration day.
I tried to get a karaoke room, but
You should have brought a cake today.
Yeah.
It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm still looking. We'll have to figure something out.
I will totally karaoke with you.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That'd be
That's so
great.
cool.
That'd be
So excited. We could have a whole conversation
We're
about
Sagittarius.
we're around the
You're
cusp.
right on the cusp.
And how
You're
hard
right
this is for holidays because.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do, but I did not get ripped off.
You didn't? Okay. Sorry,
I know
parents.
some
I did.
people do.
I know.
Yeah.
I know exactly what went
Sucks.
down in our household. It was like, oh, yeah, it's that annoying birthday that we have to celebrate. And we'll just go in and find the hiding present for holiday gifts or Christmas gifts, and we'll just give her something early or the combo. But now as you get older, you kind of don't want people to know when your birthday is anyway, so it's fine.
We need to celebrate.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need
it's
to
fine.
celebrate
That's so
you
crazy.
too. We need to celebrate you too. More on this. We need to celebrate you.
We
too.
could go somewhere after this. We just
Okay.
we'll never be seen again. Everybody's gone. Like, where did those girls go? That's awesome. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
We have to
birthday.
celebrate.
And happy
Seriously.
anniversary.
And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
In case I haven't made it obvious, I am a proud liberal femocrat.
No,
I know what.
I'm
I just heard that for the first time, and I'm sure it's
Femocrat?
Femocrat. I love that.
I
I
like
love
that.
that. I love
It's
that.
better than Fox News calling, what do they say? What do they say? Like devil rats or something.
Oh, good God,
Yeah.
how awful. Oh,
It's terrible.
No,
really-
so I am very, I believe the exact date is January 3rd, when the new House of Representatives is sworn in, yay. And
Are you going to get a girl boner?
Oh, I've got an ongoing
that what's
girl
going on?
boner, yes, since early November, yes, and you have to tell what that is. So, I can't wait for Nancy Pelosi to be our speaker, and I'm looking forward to more women in positions of power. Yes, perhaps the double entendre was intended. More women in positions of power. That's my rallying
Nice.
cry.
I like it.
I kind of go along with that
Whoa,
in
big
a
surprise.
little bit of, but mine is my real wish for 2019 is the reduction of ego.
Ooh, you can put that in the boat too.
Yeah.
But let's stay down there, Tish. So, what is your prediction for 2000?
My prediction for 2019 is that with the rise of women power in politics, a lot of positive changes on the horizon. And I'm kind of excited about it, and I'm looking forward to watching it and to doing my part in pushing it along. That's really what I see. I think our government is on top of everybody's minds. It's a different kind of feeling this holiday season because it stems from the top. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. But I think honestly that there's good things ahead. We should remain positive. We should remain upbeat. We should always think about the good, because good does triumph over evil.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Ditto. I know.
We should have had a drinking game where every time you said ditto.
I'd be so hammered. I'm going to misquote this. It's the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice, and I have a very good feeling about justice prevailing in 2019. I'm really happy about that.
And we're going to have a party.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
Party at Heidi's house.
Yeah.
My house, Champagne
The
is chilling
Democrat
now.
Festival.
Okay.
It's the Democrat Festival. I love that title.
I predict more inclusivity and we're seeing it, but I really believe, like, my mantra would be, the future is inclusive.
Yes.
And I want to hear and see more femme and non-binary and trans and queer voices of all ages and races and religious beliefs. And I do think we're getting there, which is interesting because there's this clash between some of the really high up stuff happening versus the grassroots. But the grassroots is so powerful, and we're seeing it in the House and everywhere. So I'm really, really optimistic for that. And I have so much hope also and faith in our young people. I learn from the younger generation so much. They're so wise and much more accepting generally, naturally. So I hope we keep learning from them.
Nice.
I said mine. The good music.
Good music. That's what. I mean, what about a prediction?
A prediction.
There's good music. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Michael Jackson's coming back.
No, that'd be something.
I predict, I think that 2019 is going to be filled with just great strides forward, collectively, just getting down to the root of things even more than we have already.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you guys to do that again in 3 words. So we're going to get it rapid, like rapid predictions, so we can really inspire people. They'll look back and go, look at those amazing women that have predicted things.
We knew it.
Yeah, just in 3 words, what is that prediction?
Progressive, peaceful, connected.
Yes.
Much more inclusivity.
Yes.
More justice, caring.
More self-examination.
Yes. And I would say if there's going to be more breakage, break fast so we can get on the mend, so we can really look at the other side of it. And I'm also on, I would love people to just embrace that living in a binary world doesn't serve anybody, because there's always right, wrong, black, white, Democrats, Republicans. There's no side of that works out. So just embracing not just that community, but just embracing this idea like there's not a right or wrong answer in most of the things that we do. It's more about the different varying degrees of things. So just embracing that as a, if you're focused on winning, losing, somebody always loses.
Right.
So I hope for that. That's my hope. All right, so we are definitely over because we can do that. So I want to give everybody an opportunity to give a shout out to people in their lives. So to a Heartswell, and there of course are no rules to Heartswell. You guys have done this before. It can be a group of people, it can be somebody, but just anybody that you're like, hey, I want you to know you're really important to me, and I'm going to give you a shout out. And are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
Here you go.
I think my shout out for my entire time of being LA is always going to be my parents. I think parental relationships are always complicated and complex. But learning how to just not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and really just being really grateful for my parents. I think, so shout out to my parents. Thank you for loving me unconditionally and never ever giving up on me. I think that's all you can ever ask for. So, yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Can I ditto you now?
I like it.
Because you gave me the best idea, because really my parents are they've given me so much, and you realize it so much more into adulthood. And their caring hearts and their embracement of values that are so compassionate, and who are just not at all about kind of the ego part, right? Just actually really caring about people is the biggest thing that they taught us. And also to embrace our individuality. We never had this pressure to be any particular person other than who we are.
That's awesome.
And I'm super grateful for that. And I was a handful growing up, and they still love me. So thank you guys.
I have to give my thank you to everyone who advocates and works tirelessly to protect children and animals. They are the most vulnerable, and everyone who does that, I'm so glad that you do.
one of my favorite things about Heidi. She adopts older dogs, senior dogs.
They're easier. They nap.
Yeah.
But thank you. I love it. And you get more than you give.
Yeah,
You
I
always
love
get
it.
more than you give.
Yeah.
Going the opposite direction, my first shout out and gratitude is for my children and my grandchildren, who are absolutely amazing people, young adults, teenagers. I'm so proud of all of them and what they're bringing to the world today. The other shout out, 2 shout outs. The first one obviously is to my husband, who made this all possible for me to have, and who I love with all my heart. And thank you for 41 years of amazing journey. Ups, downs, you name it. All of the marriage vows, for better, for worse, sickness, health. We've done them all, and I'm very grateful that we've reached where we are. The last shout out is to the most incredible girlfriends a woman can have. I'm telling you, you cannot live without girlfriends. They make it everything for you. I count on one hand, and I'm so fortunate that I have. I don't want to name you. You know who you are. But my girlfriends, my sister, who I adore and am so proud of. Yeah, I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed.
I'm feeling
Thank
that.
you.
You guys feel the vibe in here?
Yeah.
How do we share that? How do we share that
And it
vibe?
just comes across.
Yeah.
Can I just add, because you just inspired this in me so much, I would love for us to give like Care Bear Stare to people for whom this time of year is really difficult.
Yes.
Because so many people struggle with depression and anxiety and feeling isolated. And as you were speaking, I mean, I still do. I have chills. Oh,
I have tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to be able to extend some of that love and thought to people who are struggling.
Yes, this is a time of year. There's high suicide rates. There are people experiencing isolation, and I'd like to end on that too. As you're out in the world and experiencing people, and if you see somebody that's kind of, and we know the signs, kind of inwardly turned by themselves, like invite them somewhere, especially if it's in a class or somewhere that you kind of see this person over and again, just invite them somewhere. That's all it takes to change the holiday isolation, is just to invite them. Like, we've talked about that before, and I think it's really important. All right, I don't want to end the show. No. I really don't. Can we just cater in lunch? Keep going. I have to end it. Well, I'm so glad that it was with all of you.
Thank you for bringing us together.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, this was good.
Thank you for you. Thank you for the show. Thank you for everything.
Likewise. I'm tongue-tied.
I predict that 2019 puts Relatable at number 1.
I don't know about that. Ellen just did a stand-up called Relatable, and at least 12 people have sent me a note. Hey, Relatable. And it's like, it's Ellen. I got to watch it, Ellen. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm excited. This is the last show of the year, and there's definitely going to be some new things in the new year. I'm really grateful that all of you we got to do one-on-ones, and then you're here today. I'm a little speechless, actually. Like, this is weird. I don't know what to say. I guess I just want to say happy holidays to everybody. And, there's been a lot of great things that were shared on the show today. And I always, always hope that it encourages you to reach out to somebody that's meaningful in your life and just share how you feel about them and be curious. I mean, that's a nice gift. Like, we're getting together with family and friends, some people we don't see in a long time. Some people, you just get that happy holidays like text, like call them. When you get the text, just call them and go, hey, I want to talk to you and connect, and just be curious. That would be like, let's put the curious in Christmas. Like, that would be so awesome, right? That we're just curious with each other. So I hope for that. If you're still shopping, we have some great gift ideas on our site, so on the resource section, and a lot of these things are digital, so you will make the deadline. And they're smaller companies. I really want to encourage people to shop local, buy local. I think Jeff Bezos has enough money. I don't know. I think he does.
I'm more than happy to help out with Christmas items.
I mean, no offense, Whole Foods and Amazon, but you're good. There's a lot of small businesses and people doing wonderful things that we can support. So check out the resource section and get some good ideas for holiday. And with that, I'm just going to say Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Have the most wonderful time with your friends and family. Relate on your core curiosities, and we'll see you in 2019.
Bye.